What is up, you beautiful happy hustlers out there? Kerry Jack here, and I hope you're having an amazing day. Just enjoying this very moment right here and right now, baby. And in this episode of the Happy Hustle Podcast, we have my friend, Mr. Tony Kasandrinos, who is a native of Rochester, New York, but spent a good portion of his childhood growing up in his father's village in Niata, Greece. And after graduating from the Aquinas, I think that's right, Aquinas Institute, Tony joined the Marine Corps in 1997 and retired from active duty in the fall of 2019. Now, while on active duty, Tony founded Kasandrinos International in 2012. And after sharing the family olive oil with members of the CrossFit gym he was training at, after a few months, he was asked by Effie to create a partnership to help bring their olive oil to the world. Now, Tony currently resides in Santa Rosa Beach with his fiancée, Angela, and in his free time, he loves traveling, being outdoors, and spending time around the table with family and friends. Tony's favorite way to eat olive oil is drenched all over a Horiatic salata, a Greek salad, and lamb chops. And in this episode, we talk all about how to happy hustle your life and your business. And he does just that with his olive oil business that is crushing it. And it's delicious and nutritious. And we talk about how he made that happen and how you can too. So buckle up, and I highly recommend checking out this olive oil as well. It is very delicious and all organic and really high quality. So when you get some value from this, then go check out their website, and we'll link it all up in the show notes. Now, without further ado, after a quick message from this episode's sponsor, we are diving in. Real quick, guys, I just want to give a massive shout out to Nootopia, who is making the best nootropics on the market. I'm talking brain optimizing supplements. You guys get the hookup by going to nootopia.com/happy hustle. Save yourself some money and get these brain optimizing supplements that can really help you put the happy in your hustle. Now, let's get back to this episode. All right, Tony Kasandrinos, how you doing, my brother? Great to have you on the Happy Hustle Podcast.
Great to be here.
Yeah, man, excited. This is gonna be a fun one. Really, you're a happy hustler through and through. You're also a U.S. Marine. You're also an entrepreneur who has created a family business, doing something you actually love doing, and spreading this amazing olive oil all over the world. And thank you for sending it. It is delicious. And I only got a little sample before I took off for my Florida trip, but I'm excited to drench all my salads and rice and everything in between when I get home. But before we get into all that good stuff and how you built this multi-million-dollar company and all these, really cool things that you're up to, tell me something interesting about yourself, Tony, that not too many people know.
Well, actually, you kind of hit it already. So I've always lived in two worlds since I started my company. I had my Marine Corps world and my business world, and I tried not to intermix the two while I was on active duty. I've been retired about 2 years now. And so most people in my business world or customers of us did not know that I actually was in the military for 22 years of my life.
Wow.
And so actually more than half my life I spent doing that. And, we started the company kind of just sharing our family olive oil with friends. We never intended for it to become what it became or where it is now. But so I'd say the vast majority of people who I intermingle with nowadays didn't know that's pretty much what I always identified as a Marine. And, that would be it.
That's so cool. What'd you do in the military for 22 years? That's a long time.
Over 22 years, you do quite a few different jobs.
Yeah.
In my original job, I was a technician on F-18s coming up, and then just did a host of different things over time. I did recruiting duty for a while, done a bunch of deployments and just all over the place doing different things. So that was definitely a challenge, starting a company about 6 years before I retired.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so trying to juggle that was definitely interesting.
I bet.
Learned a lot.
What would you say is your greatest takeaway from your time in the military?
Being able to manage my time.
Yeah.
I had a million amazing experiences that I could not have, gone through without it. Some really great, some not so great, as anyone could imagine. But at the end of the day, I really learned how to manage my time more than anything, because there's always so much going on with that. And then trying to run a business as well, and then seeing family as much as you possibly can, being gone, and definitely helped me manage my time and prioritize my time.
Yeah.
And focus on what's important.
And I just want to stay here for a sec, because that is such an important topic, time management. You don't someone explained it to me. It's like, you don't actually manage time, because time is never like time doesn't stop. You know what I mean? Like, you don't manage it. What you do is you manage yourself and your activity within time, and it's like, I'm curious to hear maybe a time management, for lack of a better term, tactic that you have utilized throughout your time in the military, and now as your time as an entrepreneur, that you've seen effective, that maybe you can share with the happy hustlers.
One thing that's really helped me, I forgot where I learned it. I think I learned it while I was on recruiting duty, which sounds like an office job, but it's probably one of the worst jobs you could do in the military. But I think it was my boss at the time had told me, because I'm pretty sure I had undiagnosed ADD my whole life. So I'd always,
I think we all do.
trying to do this and that, all these different things all at once. And one thing I learned from him was taking like a 20-minute block of time and focusing on one thing and one thing only, getting rid of everything, like no cell phones, no radio, just sit down and do whatever it is you want to do for that 20 minutes. And that's your only focus. So I started like implementing that quite a while ago, and it really helps, like when I've got like a laundry list of like 50 tasks I need to complete today. And what I found happening a lot was you just get overwhelmed, and you're like, okay, where I start, or I start doing something and then I'm going to start doing something else. So that really helped me, I'd say, prioritize more than anything, and really focus on one thing at a time, so then you can start checking these tasks off throughout the day.
That's a great point.
That's more of like a work type thing. But it could also be, anything, any task you need to do, really, to just solely focus on that thing for 20 minutes, because it's not too long, but it's enough time to get something accomplished.
That's a great point. And I use the Pomodoro Method as well. It's what you're describing is a version of it, where you work for 20 minutes on, and then you take a 5-minute break, and I like to do like a 45-15 split, where I'll go hard for 45 minutes, take a 15-minute break, jump on my trampoline, go for a mountain biking ride, or take the dog, play fetch, like get outside and break up the day. And one other task, and something that I do, that may be helpful for the happy hustlers listening, is I have a 2-minute rule. If it's a task that takes less than 2 minutes, I'll just do it right away. Like if I think about it, and hopefully that's not like task switching. Like if I'm in a block, I do the block. But if I'm like, oh shit, you know what? I got to send this email, and I know it's going to take less than 2 minutes, 2 minutes. That's a new word. I send it, like I just do it real quick, 2 minutes, less than. If it's over 2 minutes, then it gets in my schedule book, like into my calendar. So but I think it's an important topic, and I just wanted to touch on that. Now, definitely. I do want to get into your business and just make sure I'm saying it properly. Kasandrinos, am I right? How do you say it right?
So it's been butchered my whole life, but Kasandrinos, throughout the military, I always went by Cass for short, but playing football coming up, the announcer, when they say your name, I'm like, crazy Kasandrinos or whatever. But Kasandrinos.
Kasandrinos. So tell us the story. Like, how did Kasandrinos become what it is today? And just give us a little history.
So my family's Greek. They came there I'm first generation. My parents came over back in the 70s or 60s, and but kept really close ties to Greece. So coming up as a kid, I actually lived there for a few years while I was little, went to school there. But I've been going my whole life up until I turned 18 and went to the Marine Corps. And then even throughout my career in the Marine Corps, I'd go back, not as much. Most of my family still lives there. So we had really close ties to there. Olive oil, for anyone that's ever been to Greece, the whole country is either mountains, olive trees, and ocean and beaches. Olive trees are literally everywhere. So most people who live there have a little plot of olive trees, either for personal use where they might have 20, 30 trees that their whole family uses throughout the year or more, and they farm them. And these trees, a lot of them are centuries old, like very, very old trees. Some even older than centuries. Some are over 1,000 years old. So in my family, we've always had olive trees and olive oil. Never retailed it the way we do now. But my father, who owns a Greek diner up in New York, him and his brother, they sold olive oil from our family in the restaurant, not for a business. It was more like, hey, we're bringing over our olive oil. If you want to buy a bottle, here it is, type of thing.
Cool.
It's a little upsell at the restaurant.
Yep.
But they had like this old school ugly label on it, but the quality was amazing. All our trees are organic because they're all really old. They're, it's like traditional farming methods that are still being used today. Not like the conventional farming methods where they plant all these trees and rows and you have tractors driving over them to pick the olives. Like our stuff's like hand picked and just old school, high quality products. So I was on recruiting duty in Philadelphia, and I was training at a CrossFit gym in Center City, Philly. And I started sharing, I had a case in my trunk, and we had a birthday party for one of the guys at the gym. And I brought in some olive oil just to share with my friends. And fast forward a few months, I have all these people like, hey, we want more. And it just kind of spread throughout the gym that I had olive oil. So now I've got probably 100 customers,
Sweet.
Get stationed down in Texas, and everyone's still asking me for olive oil. So I'm like, all right, I don't know anything about this. I don't have time. I'm working like 10, 12 hours a day. Created a single page website with a PayPal link. And I called my dad up. I was like, hey, can I get a pallet sent down here? And I'd get out of work with Marine Corps, and I'd go home and I'd have like 10 orders. So I'd package them up myself and bring them to the UPS store and send them to my friends.
Love it.
So after a few months, I was like, okay, maybe I'm onto something here, but it's not like I've got a lot of time. So I call my sister, who was working at JP Morgan at the time, in the finance world. So I was like, hey, you want to start a business with me? I was like, give it a go and see what we could do with this. So she said yes. And we decided to, instead of using the old school label that my uncle or his uncle created back in the 70s, we decided to brand it with our last name, Kasandrinos, and come out with our logo and all our own branding, and kind of bootstrapped it from there. It was completely a part-time thing. Like we were working maybe 3-4 hours a day on it, if that. Then about 6 months into it, we were actually, at the time, we did have like 10 orders a day, and we're like, oh, cool, we made a few $100s, it's extra cash. But then my sister ended up pregnant with her first child. I'm getting ready to get deployed to, I forgot where I was going at the time. And we're like, all right, what do we do now? So somehow the guy at the UPS store convinced me to store my olive oil at his storage facility, and he would have his employees package and send it for him.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that was my first experience with a fulfillment center, was a UPS store.
Nice.
And yeah, so after that, I mean, at that point, I had about 5 years to go till I retired. So I'm like, man, what are we going to do here? Like, because it started growing, word of mouth, influencers, and it started picking up some traction, but we really didn't have a lot of time to invest in it. I mean, when I did end up going to Asia for 6 months, it's like my sister's 12 hours difference from me, So just trying to talk on the phone, and, it got pretty interesting. But, we kept it afloat, and we kept it very profitable and growing over the next 5 years, to where when I retired from the military, I basically took a month off, went to Greece from any sort of work, and came back and just started running right away and went full time with it. My sister came on full time, and,
wow,
been growing it ever since the last 2 years.
Wow.
So,
I mean, what a story. I love the grassroots, bootstrap nature of it, because I've bootstrapped multiple businesses. One, I actually had a venture capital investor for, and we had these mainstream partnerships, and the other like 4 businesses that I've started have been just bootstrapped, and I think, and by the way, those aren't all successful businesses. I've failed lots of many of those businesses that I started. Actually, I've failed more times than I've succeeded in business, but that's part of the game, right? So for you to be successful on your first real go is awesome, man. I mean, it's just it's a lesson of grit and persevering past adversity and evolution. And, one thing that I just want all the happy hustlers to take away is like what Kasandrinos is right now was not what it started as,
not at all.
and it's evolved over time so much.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what happens in businesses. You start and your MVP, your most viable product is maybe kind of ugly. Maybe maybe the label wasn't as what it is now. And like, the bottle was different, and like the shipping, you probably shipped it a little different.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
totally. Yeah. Everything's
exactly.
Other than the oil inside the bottle, everything has changed.
Yeah. And that's what I want to just take away and extract is this lesson of just starting, just starting. If you have something that people want, like if it's a product or a service or, your time, coaching, whatever it is, just start giving it to people in whatever capacity. Don't have that perfectionism mindset. Like for me, good and done is better than perfect and never finished.
Definitely,
you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So that's just an important point. Now, I do want to just talk about like some of the lessons you learned as an entrepreneur, as you're growing and scaling this business. What would you say was the biggest mistake you made early on with your business?
That's an easy one for me. Not saying no enough. I mean, because as you start, I'm sure you know this, like any entrepreneur knows this, as you grow and you're going to get pitched different softwares, different services on the daily. I mean, I still get them every day. So you got to really filter through, and you really, in the beginning, we wasted money, because we're really learning as we went. We didn't have a clue on what we were doing. I mean, everyone in my family, they're immigrant entrepreneurs, but most of them own Greek diners, brick and mortars, so going into the e-commerce space, we were kind of learning as we went. So we made a few mistakes on taking on probably more than we were ready for, or just spending money in places that we really didn't need to spend it. So after a few mistakes like that, we kind of really dialed in together, my sister and I, and said, okay, is that whatever we're looking at doing, is it absolutely necessary? And is there really going to be ROI in doing whatever it is? But and that was kind of a problem of mine. I always say yes, whatever. But I've learned over time to, it's best to just say no upfront, or right when it's a hard no, and then just move on. Yeah,
it's a great lesson. And I think everyone has to learn it in their own way, in their own time, because you want to please people. Like I want to please people. I want to say, maybe we can collaborate in some capacity, but like in reality, in your gut, oftentimes early on, it's a no, move on. And what you say yes to means you must be saying no to other things. So like, for example, if you are saying yes to a relationship right now that doesn't serve you, maybe there's a bunch of adversity and you're not aligned energetically, you are technically saying no to everyone else that may come in your field, in your life. And so you have to realize that every yes you say is a no to other things. So it's just an important lesson. And I'm glad you went there, because it's really, once you can start to say no to more things, you free yourself up to say yes to the right things. Right. Yeah. What would you say in terms of money? I always like to talk about money with entrepreneurs and like managing money, especially like supply chain, like margins, because I think here's something that I did wrong. I created like a product that sold great at the price point it was, but it didn't have the margins to sustain it, to
Yeah.
sustain the business. And I
Mhm.
think money is really important to managing cash flow. What would you say are some of the greatest lessons you've learned in regards to money, managing it, saving it, investing it wisely for your business?
Listen to my sister. No, no, I mean, she's always been awesome with money since we were little kids. She was like the one that saved every penny she got, but I'd say business wise, one lesson that I really learned is focus financially, and it's almost like kind of has a bad connotation, but focus on profit over gross sales.
Mhm.
I mean, you can have all these companies, as you're coming up, oh, cool, we're a 7-figure company or we're an 8-figure company, but it's like you're barely making it. And I
Yeah.
see so many companies like, oh, we want to scale to this, scale to that. But as you do that, you start adding employees, adding softwares, adding all this stuff. And it's like you're barely getting by. It's
Yeah.
like, what are we doing this for?
Mm.
And where I really learned it was we were really doing well on Amazon Prime. And this was right before I retired from the Marine Corps. So about 2.5 years ago, we were I think we got up to like number 2 out of all organic olive oil sold on Amazon,
Whoa.
which is cool because we were like a 3-person company at the time. And
Yeah.
we're like going up against all these big wig, conglomerates and stuff. And but when I retired and I told you I went to Greece for about a month, I left and then I went back for about 6 weeks and just focused on the business. And I really dialed into exactly what we're talking about right now, the numbers and the
Mm.
profit margins. So it's like I was always chasing, hey, let's get to the top on Amazon and the rankings with all our competitors and just really moving up. And it was cool to see like our tiny little company up there competing with these like big, store brands. But when I looked at it and I saw how many subscribe and save members we had on Amazon and how many orders we were doing on Amazon and how much money we were giving Amazon, I was like, man,
Mm.
what if we had this amount of subscribe and save members or sales and orders on our website? Because
Mm.
our average cart value on our website is about 3 times what it is on Amazon. Because on Amazon, somebody's buying a bottle of oil, they're just going to buy a bottle
Yeah.
generally. Where
Yeah.
on our website, they're buying bundles and,
Mm.
we can offer them other things. We can offer them vinegar, we can offer them our soap, all these different products that we get their email address. So now we can reach out to
Yeah.
them again with Amazon, do that. So I think one thing is just really, and we're losing not losing money, but we're giving Amazon a lot of money.
How much do you give Amazon per, like, just ballpark? What's the
Now I don't
percentage?
know because we're not barely on there anymore.
Yeah.
It was about a third. We were giving
Oh, wow. Wow.
about 35% though.
Oh my
It was quite a
goodness.
bit. Yeah.
That's
And
why
we were
Amazon
still,
is so rich.
yeah. And we still had a really good profit margin.
Yeah.
And we had to, with, growing it and, reinvesting, but
Hmm.
it was, yeah, it was kind of like, why are we giving Amazon all this money?
Yeah.
So we basically we turned off subscribe and save on Amazon, even though we lost a lot of recurring, and we filtered them over to us.
Mm.
And we raised our prices on Amazon to the point where I was like, let me search the website. Oh, it's way cheaper here. Let me buy here.
Ah.
And to the point where we're like, we don't even need or care about Amazon anymore. And I know a lot of businesses are built off Amazon, and
Yeah.
it is what it is. It all, you pick your poison how you want to do it. But at the end of the day, it was really focusing on how much money we're actually bringing in and keeping versus what's going out. And that's
Yeah.
something we do on a monthly basis. Even now, I mean, you know, my sister, she is a stickler on every little penny, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, as you grow your Shopify page or any, wherever your e-commerce site is, you start adding apps and different services and all these little
Fees.
things, but they add up,
Yeah, they
and
do.
and the more money you're making and the more orders you're doing, the more they charge you,
Yep.
but yeah, so we go through on a monthly basis and look at every single reoccurring charge that we have, whether it's this app for that, that app for that, it's like, do we really need this? What happens if we don't have it? And we just make a decision. Hey, is this something we want to keep or no? Or is there a better competitor out there? So that's kind of a good thing, not to just do it like once in a while, but to have a strategic schedule on where your
every
money's
month
going.
Yeah,
So,
that's a great point. I mean, one thing I just want to double back on is the profit first mentality. It's really important to look at your net income, not your gross sales. And I think a lot of people glorify their gross sales to the point where that's the first number people mention. There's like, yeah, we did 7 figures this year. But I barely made it. And, I'm not even close. I'm not even making a teacher's wage for myself. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And like, when people tell me that, I think the priorities are mixed up when it comes to the money aspect. And it's really important to actually do the numbers. And I will be the first one to put my hand up and say, that's not my strong suit. But thankfully, my brother and your sister,
our siblings,
my brother's a numbers guy. So when we do, like when we collaborate on projects and, specifically, like I can think of the Montana Mastermind Epic Camping Adventure, he puts all the spreadsheets together. How much is the horses going to cost? How much is the camping gear, the food, and he'll map it all out. And then we have to reverse engineer what we're actually going to charge for a ticket to come on this epic trip. Because if you don't do the numbers in that order, you're going to end up selling it for more than or less than it costs to actually produce. And it's really important to have the numbers nailed down and to look at them regularly. I'm starting to do more and more with my accountant every month, like monthly meetings, and just have someone who is looking at the numbers, making financial decisions, maybe giving you a little insight into taxes as well. I think a lot of people mess up here where, they'll wait to the end of the year to pay their huge tax burden instead of mitigating, tax exposure throughout the year and do quarterly payoffs. It's just important to have this strategy rather than being reactive. You can be proactive by looking at your numbers. So I'm really glad you mentioned that. So tell us now, like, where's the business headed? Tell us, like, 2022, what are you guys looking forward to? What are you working on? I know you got some other cool products in the works. Tell us about the future of Kasandrinos.
It's crazy. I mean, because it's way bigger than I ever thought it would be, even now it's like, wow, okay, we made it, but at the end of the day, we really do this because we love it. Like, we love sharing our olive oil with people all over the world. And it also helps a lot of people along that pipeline of farmer in Greece to everybody in the middle to the customer. So now we're kind of really doing it just to kind of help out everyone in this whole sphere of the company. But we've always been direct to consumer in America. And the main reason is the olive oil, like in the bottle that you got, was on a tree within the last few months. I mean, it's as fresh as you're going to get.
Wow.
As opposed to what's in the grocery stores. So we've really expanded our wholesale side of things with restaurants, hotels. That's grown quite a bit in the last 6 months. We brought on a wholesale manager and she's just knocking it out of the park daily. In the US and also internationally. We've been sending a lot of oil over to Singapore, South Korea, Vietnam. So
super cool.
Really growing that. And then we have been launching new products strategically over the course of a few months. We got some soaps, olive oil soaps coming out, and some face creams and a body butter.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So just expanding our line. At the end of the day, the olive oil itself is our bread and butter, and that's our main product. Coming out with all different size. We've got a bunch of different sizes. At first it was just a single bottle. We got like little travel packets, all the way up to now big bag in a box, like when you do the wine. Bag in a box. So we're doing that with olive oil.
Slap the bag. I used to do that in college.
So just a lot of just expanding the line and really growing. And our digital side of things, we came out with a recipe club that is really doing well. Got a lot of people in that, and then ebooks, like recipe books and stuff. So just about kind of covering all the bases. And
amazing, man. And I'm sure everyone's mouth is watering when we talk about this olive oil, and they're probably like, where the heck can I go to get it? And I know we have something special for the Happy Hustlers where they're getting a little hookup. I'm not quite certain. I think it's code happy, but
yeah, it's happy.
Okay. It's code happy.
Make it simple.
Yeah, where can people go to get the hookup if they want to try some of this amazing olive oil and soap and all these other awesome products?
Yeah, it's right on our website at Kasandrinos.com. I know it's a long name, but if you kind of Google KAS and some other letters, it'll pop up.
And and
not
we'll link
Kardashian.
It up. No, not that. Yeah. We'll link it up in the show notes as well. But yeah, that definitely, guys, check it out and use code happy, save yourself some money. And Tony, I do want to ask you some traditional Happy Hustle questions. First, being health. And I know it's really important to have your health optimized both for the military and for a business. If you're not mentally and physically strong and optimized, you're not going to be able to perform at your peak. So what would you say is a Happy Hustle hack? These are maybe tips or tools or tactics, something that you do in regards to health that you can share with the Happy Hustlers.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest, it sounds like really whatever, but the minute I wake up in the morning, I go for like at least a 30-minute walk.
Oh,
wow. At least every morning. I've gone through periods of I'd say last 10 years where I do it and I don't. And when I do, I notice I feel a lot better. I'll just wake up, drink some water, go right outside and go walking. Now I live a mile from the beach. So I get in my car, drive.
Yep. Yeah, you're in Florida.
I take my shoes off and go walk barefoot on the sand for later, go out half hour and come back.
That's so nice, man.
Yeah, I feel like it changes my whole day when I get outside first thing, before doing anything, and just be outside a little bit.
So true, man. I was just on the beach here in Florida, paddleboarding in the ocean. And right before I hopped on the mic, my hair's still wet. I was telling Tony, and he's up in North Florida near the Panhandle. And I'm in South Florida, but it's one of those things where you just get outside, you tune your circadian rhythm, getting up with the sun, going to bed when the sun, if you can tune it properly, and then just getting outside that fresh air. It's meditative as well.
No, it is. It's awesome.
Let's talk about spirituality. Do you have a Happy Hustle hack in regards to spirituality? I don't necessarily care what you believe in or one God or another. For me, it's just important that you have faith in something bigger than yourself, but what would you say is a spiritual practice, something that you do, a Happy Hustle hack, that you could share with the Happy Hustlers?
So might be a little cliche, but on the regular, I really try and practice gratitude. And just for me, I usually do it when I'm driving, honestly. Cool. And I don't know, being in the Marine Corps, I've seen a lot of different places, good and bad, and been through some really crappy experiences. So I'm always grateful for what we have here in the U.S. And I think a lot of people don't realize how lucky we are, and blessed we are to have what we have here and the opportunities that we have to become entrepreneurs. Because even in Greece, where my family's from, those opportunities do not exist. It's almost impossible for people over there to do what we do here in the States.
Wow.
So it's even in more normal country, I'm not talking third world countries, I'm talking a lot of countries. It's not easy to start a business, and just simple things like that. So I basically try and remind myself on the regular, hey, how lucky I am to have the opportunity to do what we do, and to live the lifestyles that we do here in the States, and to also help as many people as we can with what we're doing.
So true, man. Amen to that, brother. Gratitude is the way. It's the way to get out of your head too, and just into your heart and into a better space. And what are you grateful for? If you right now have just 10 fingers, you can be grateful,
Exactly.
you know,
Yeah.
like my
You
dad
wake up in the
actually,
morning.
yeah, if you get up in the morning, my
Yeah.
dad literally just chopped off one of his fingers sawing. He's gonna be pissed if he hears this because he's embarrassed as all hell. But he was sawing and he's building his addition, chopped his finger off. And he is so bummed that he is dealing with 9 digits now, and we call him Stumpy. But the point is, like, if you have like even the littlest things, you can find gratitude for. So
Oh,
I just think
definitely.
it's so important. Now, one other happy hustle hack question, and that is in regards to your relationships. You know,
Mhm.
working with your family is not always easy. And I'm curious, just in terms of your, you know, I know you have a family and kids, and I'm curious to hear maybe a happy hustle hack in regards to your relationship with, I believe, your wife.
My wife. Yeah.
Yeah, you're married. Um,
No kids yet.
Something, yeah. Oh, no kids.
I got
Okay.
nieces.
Nieces. Oh, I see all the pictures. I'm like,
Kids that I
those are
can
his kids.
return.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
that's probably the best kid.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Um, but maybe seriously. Anyway, the happy hustle hack for like relationships, like working with your, you know, your
Yeah.
family, and also just like maybe for your wife as well.
Yeah. No, working with a family is definitely very different than working in the Marine Corps. That's actually probably
Yeah.
one of my biggest adjustments was, having 100 Marines that worked for me, so versus having five women,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was like very different dynamic, especially when they're family, your sister who you grew up with and your cousins who are like sisters. So, but no, even with them, I think it's just really respecting them as equals.
Yeah.
Even to like my little cousin Anna, who does our social media, really getting input from them, and not being like, oh, I'm in charge of you, do what I say type of thing. It's more
Hmm.
just keep, basically not being a jerk about things.
Yeah.
And and then with my wife, really separating business versus personal time. I
Mm,
think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially in the beginning, kind of struggle with that, especially
for
nowadays that
sure.
we're all working from home. And it's like, okay, my office right now is in my house. And but I have like this policy where I keep the door closed, and when I leave, and when it's closed, like work is done. Like we don't talk about work, so just really trying to keep it separate,
Yeah.
business and personal relationships. And
Yep.
then probably the most important thing, though, outside of my wife, she's my wife, is all the other relationships that we do get in business as entrepreneurs, is really focusing on the important ones and kind of getting rid of the non-important ones.
Mm,
And because we're constantly meeting so many new people, and
yep.
um, even keeping track of people sometimes, it's not the easiest thing. So
Yeah.
really just kind of focusing where you're spending that most valuable thing we have, which is time, which we talked
Yep.
about earlier. It's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
gotta be really aware of how you're spending it, who you're spending it with. And
Yeah. Amen to
yeah.
all of that, man. It's so true. You gotta almost compartmentalize your personal life
Mhm.
with your significant other. And then, especially if you work together, your work life, you know,
Exactly.
just to make sure that you turn it off. And I find that difficult for myself. And it's one thing that when I did have actual boundaries, or like, it changed everything for my relationship.
Mhm.
When I didn't, it was, you know, despair and adversity,
Yeah.
because there's, you know, not, you don't have the bandwidth to do both effectively.
Oh
And
yeah.
one of the biggest takeaways for the happy hustlers, I hope, is you, and this is something I put in my book, The Happy Hustle, which just came out. I got to send you a copy, brother.
Awesome.
Um, it's important to give equal importance for each of these different areas of our life, our
Mhm.
relationships, our business, our, you know, selfless service, our optimized health, these different 10 alignments. But you have to focus on one at a time, you know, and that's the takeaway, is like, give equal importance, but focus at one at a time. And as you
Yeah.
said, you know, just like have that shut the door mentality on your
Yeah.
office. And that's a great symbolism. I like that. So let's go through the rapid fire round real quick, and then we will wrap this bad boy up. This is basically just where I ask you random questions and you answer honestly. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Favorite food? Go.
Pizza.
Favorite movie?
Oh, goodness. I'd say Godfather.
Ooh, good one. Favorite book?
Favorite book. Let me look at my books really quick. Kiss or Kill.
Oh, nice. Best business advice?
Oh, kind of what we talked about earlier. Just go. Just do it. Don't worry about it being perfect. Just go with it.
What's your spirit animal?
I'd say a dog. Love
nice.
Dogs. Don't own one, but I love them.
Yeah, you got to get a dog, bro. Dogs are.
If I had time.
Create time for a dog. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. All right, work-life balance definition.
Prioritizing life outside of work, for one, because work can always be there in some capacity, and kind of what we talked about, separating the two, doing one at one time and the other at another time.
First hustle that you ever did. First thing you did for money.
Washed windows for my dad's friends who owned restaurants. I was about 12 years old. Nice. You get $20 a restaurant.
Awesome. 3 things you're most grateful for.
My wife, my family, and my health.
And if you had one billboard for the world to see with your last piece of content on it, what would that billboard read?
Ooh. Be happy.
Woo! Crush that rapid fire round, brother. Love it. Yeah. Now, where can people go to learn more about you, to, get some of that delicious olive oil? Just give us some links one more time.
Yeah, it's Kasandrinos.com. That's our website. It has all our family information, our olive oil production information, like any question you could think of. And yeah.
Check it out, guys. That's Kasandrinos.com. And then use code HAPPY. If you do end up getting some of that good stuff and you want to save some money, code HAPPY will save you some moolah. Now, Tony, I just want to acknowledge you, brother, for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom with the Happy Hustlers and myself, and for serving our beautiful country, the United States of America. I salute you, brother, and I really appreciate you. Any final words before I ask you the last question?
Can't really think of anything.
I love it. All right. He said it already. So now final question. What does happy hustling mean to you?
I mean, to me, I think it would mean enjoying what you're actually doing day in and day out while you're grinding. I mean, as entrepreneurs, we all and we were talking about this before, you get in that cycle of just grinding and working hard and getting stuff, but why do we do it? So I mean, we truly love doing what we do. I mean, where I met you at a mastermind. I mean, I love meeting with other entrepreneurs at masterminds. I'm actually flying to Arizona tonight to go to one this weekend, and cool. It's just everything. That doesn't mean everything's going to be fun and happy. You got things you have to do, but overall you should enjoy and be happy about what you're doing every day. So defined to me is just enjoying day in and day out.
Amen to that, brother. Mic dropped. Tony Kasandrinos. I hope for the last time I said it decently enough. Thanks all for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love.